Hey guys, welcome back to another impressions video. This time on the latest game I beat, which is The Last of Us Part 2. A very anticipated title that it took me a while, obviously. This game came out, some 8 months ago, last year. And of course, as you guys know, I'm a huge fan of this guy right here, which is the original Last of Us. I got this on release date back in the day in 2013. Loved this game. It was one of my favorite games of 2013, and of course, I was naturally excited for the part two. But I've been on a PlayStation slump, if you will, where I haven't played anything PlayStation related for I think like 8 months almost. So finally, as some of you guys may know, I got a PlayStation 5. I was able to get a hold of a PlayStation 5, which is acting as my PlayStation 4 Pro, if you will, and that was a good thing because I was able to enjoy The Last of Us Part 2, even though it's a PlayStation 4 game. It does have some enhancements that come with the PS5 version, a better resolution, namely. Finally, got the urge or the itch to finally play this fantastic game. Now that I have a new, a new PS4. It's not I'm using it. I'm using my PS5 as a PS4. But I'm gonna do this impressions video a little bit differently than usual. I'm always spoilers free, because I do want to respect, people that have not played this game. Obviously, the Last of Us Part 2, I'm sure most people that, watch my channel, and I know, my close friends here on YouTube have already beaten the game. But the way I'm going to do this impressions video is I'm going to talk about everything. I'm going to save the story thoughts for the very last part of the video, and then I'm going to do some, spoilers at the end of the video. So in case you guys don't want to hear any spoilers, just watch the video normally, and towards the end I'm going to announce when to stop listening if you guys don't want to get spoiled. But with that being said, let's just start with the graphics, my thoughts on the graphics. No surprises here. This is one of the best looking games. In my opinion, it has to be the best looking, last gen. It's kind of sounds weird now, but it's probably one of the best looking last gen games. For the PlayStation 4, Naughty Dog, they have done wonders with the graphics in this game. Character models, textures, the environments in this game are amazing, full of details. Whether it's an urban environment or whether it's like a nature kind of like driven environment, those were the ones that I particularly enjoyed the most. This game has a lot of like flashbacks with in Ellie's story, if you will, where you typically the flashbacks are related to like nature-driven sceneries, and there's one where a flashback that acts kind of like as a sniper rifle tutorial that teaches you the mechanics of how to use a sniper rifle, and it's set in this like beautiful forest area with the sun, with sun setting and things like that. I was just my jaw just dropped to the ground, in that particular level or chapter in the game, and it was just a beautiful game, beautiful vistas, the sceneries, and the urban sections also. They're full of detail. You can go to like inside stores, like a music shop, for example, and you can see posters from bands, and vinyl records and just tons of details. You can get lost for every building that you go into. There's a lot of decorations and papers and just things laying around. So the attention to detail from Naughty Dog is just outstanding when it comes to the environments and the character models. I mean, they're fantastic. I don't know what kind of technology, motion capture they use, but it just looks fantastic, real. It's like watching a movie. And in fact, my wife and even my mother-in-law, were kind of watching a little bit of me playing the game, and they were just surprised at how real the game looked in terms of the facial animations and all that. So, The Last of Us Part 2, no surprises here. The first game was a technical marvel. It came out late in the PlayStation 3 life cycle, and Naughty Dog were able to just squeeze every ounce of power, both on the PS3 and on the PS4 for the Part 2. So, in the graphics department, you're gonna have like a movie-like experience with this game. And now that I have a 4K TV, The game doesn't have a 4K resolution per se. I think it's like 1440p or something, the max setting. But the PS5 does a nice job of bringing that resolution, bumped up the resolution a little bit compared to my original PS4, which that thing still works. But I'm glad I was able to play this on the PS5 for faster loading times and also for the improvements in resolution. As far as the sound, another area where I think Naughty Dog, they really shine. The sound department, I think they really get a flying colors in soundtrack, voice acting, and sound effects. The soundtrack in The Last of Us is very subtle. There are some areas where there's a theme of Ellie learning how to play the guitar, and she kind of sings a couple of songs. There's some guitar moments along the story, if you will. Those parts were really cool. The soundtrack itself is very, I guess, eerie in areas. Very, I guess, very suspenseful when it needs to be. So the soundtrack, even though it doesn't stand out, completely, it's a very solid effort, and I think it's just a fantastic work, just like in the first game also. But I think the area, as far as the sound, where this game shines is the actual voice acting. On top of a really good voice actor, this game has like a really good writing, which just helps brings that level of quality and just overall polish to the story, because this is almost like watching a movie. Having quality voice actors with good writing just adds to that immersion factor, and it really hooks you into the game. And of course, we have to talk about the sound effects in the game, which are just amazing. Especially in the areas where you have to fight the infected. It's very very scary. All the sound effects that they make. The clickers, and they have their particular sound, these enemies, and just a fantastic use of sound effects, whether it's enemy driven or, using, your handguns, shotguns and stuff like that. This game just has a fantastic sound overall. And I guess my small complaint would be like in the areas where you're fighting the infected and you're trying to be stealthy. I could swear, and this also happened on the first game, I think Naughty Dog, they just add like extra sounds that to just increase the scary factor, if that makes any sense. Like I was using stealth in some section. In most of the game, I played using stealth, and I could swear, using headphones, that you could hear like things in the background, like bump noises, like someone walking. But I knew there weren't any enemies in that area, so I was like, they just add these little sounds here and there to increase the scariness in this game, which I thought was it's kind of messed up, but it does a good job of keeping you on the edge of your seat and just being paranoid of of enemies in this game. But the sound department, obviously, fantastic flying scores from me as well. And moving on into the gameplay, I think in the grand scheme of things, the gameplay was improved over the first one. I think that's the general consensus in the from among fans of the series. To be completely honest, it's been a while. I played the original game in 2013 when it came out, and I never replayed it. As much as I loved that game, 2013 was the last time that I played that game, and that's like 8 years ago or something like that. My recollection is that the gameplay was already pretty good on the first game, and they just, I guess, improve or enhance over the original. For example, now you can prone in this game, so you can go under like cars, for example. You can temporarily hide under, structures or cars, vehicles that are parked, and things like that. So it adds to a little bit of strategy, going prone and things like that. You can use high grass in order to kind of like sneak around enemies and do stealth kills, that's what I use for the most part in this game. Just staying low and just going around enemies and using stealth kills. And that's where it boils down. Everything boils down to it's the game is basically broken into gun sections, where you can use your guns and go all gun-ho and just shoot enemies, or use stealth approach, to take down the enemies, which is what I did for the most part. And then the game also has exploration sequences where sometimes you have to just stop, look at the environment, and find a route in order to progress to the next part of the game. And also the game has some flashback sequences, kind of like just listening to the story and the characters and things like that. So very similar to the first game. In my opinion, it was better done in part two, obviously with the improvements in the gameplay. If I had to criticize maybe a couple things is to me the length of the game. I think the game was a little bit too long for me. I think if the game was a little bit more condensed, it would have worked better. That also could be due to the fact that I really took my time with this game. I think it's rated for like 20 hours, I think, for a single player campaign, but it took me like 31. So I was taking my time from room to room. I was always looking for as many items as I could, looking for collectibles, because the charm of this game for me personally is finding out more about the world. If you read the documents that you find, the collectibles, you learn more about families and friends during the frenzy, during the breakout of the pandemic or the virus in this game. You learn more about the people that were actually there, which is I thought it's a pretty cool touch. You get a little bit more personal with certain characters that you never meet in the game, and if that makes any sense. So that's something that I really appreciate, and hence why I took my time. And of course, another gameplay mechanic that why I took so long is the looting in this game. You have to craft materials, you have to find all sorts of materials to craft health items or pipe bombs or trip mines, upgrade your weapons. You can use the pills to upgrade your skills and things like that. So I was trying to do as much as a better job as possible, because it helps a lot to have a full set of items in this game, or inventory at your disposal, because like for people that completed this game in 20 hours, like I just can't see that, because me being very cautious, I always had plenty of ammo and things like that. But this game it doesn't really favor going gung-ho with all guns blazing. The ammo is very limited in this game. The weapons are set up in a way that they're not very effective to use against multiple enemies at the same time. So in my opinion, the best way to play the Last of Us, both 1 and 2, is to just have a stealthy approach and have stealthy kills, and then you end up saving some ammo as well, which is a cool thing always, right? So yeah, the game does give you a lot of variety. I was a little bit boring in that sense, because I was trying to get the behind your back stealthy kills, but you can also do a lot of creative things, with trip mines and pipe bombs. There's some motion sensing bombs and things like that definitely give you some creativity in terms of the how you can defeat enemies in this game. And then the enemies are similarly to the first one, are somewhat divided between infected and human enemies. The human enemies, they have weapons and they can fire back at you and things like that. And then you have the infected enemies, which are the same. You have the runners, the clickers. There's a new type of enemy, the Swaler or something. I forgot the exact name, but it's an enemy that kind of like spits out acid when you get close to him. So different strategies that you have to obviously use, and very creepy environment, and the gameplay in this game is just overall very, very solid. Now, as far as the story, I'm going to give just a brief spoiler-free thoughts, and then I'm going to jump into the, spoilers territory for those of you that haven't played. My spoiler-free impression of the story is that it was very solid. I think you get to learn a lot about the characters that are invested in this game. You get to learn a lot more about Ellie, obviously, which is kind of like the main protagonist. As you can see here, she's in the cover of the game. I thought, I have mixed emotions on the ending of the game, which I will develop in my spoilers section. But overall, I was very, very satisfied with The Last of Us Part 2. It's a quality game, and I think I prefer it over the first one. I think I enjoyed it more in terms of the gameplay improvements, but as far as the story, I think it's just more encompasses a lot more things happening. More characters. It just gives you a better, I guess, grasp of the world, of the events that are happening, and overall, I think the game itself and the story, in my opinion, are a notch above the first game. So with that being said, spoilers ahead. I'm gonna discuss or give my thoughts on the story and characters that are in the game. So, spoilers begin now. So, the number one thing that I was very excited to find out, and I was able to maintain myself spoiler free. I know that's hard to believe, guys, but this game was spoiled to hell. There were leaks before the game released, and I was able to somehow stay free of spoilers up until now. So I did a really good job of secluding myself up until this point. But the number one thing right after I beat the game that I wanted to see was the controversy. Because I keep hearing there was a lot of controversy, surrounding the game. So I did my research, and I think the number one sticking point was the Ellie's orientation. I guess her being a gay or lesbian, whatever. That to me didn't bother me. The DLC of the first game already kind of shows you that. I did not complete that DLC, but I remember back in the day, that was the deal that you kind of discover that she's gay pretty much. I guess some people didn't know that and got really upset when they found out of her orientation in this game. To me, it didn't bother me a single bit. Either way, if she was straight or or lesbian, whatever, I didn't care. It didn't bother me at all. So in that point, no controversy for me. I guess the second sticking point was how quick Joel dies in the game. And I have to agree with that. Like, that shocked me. Not to the point that I was mad, but it just shocked me and surprised me in a very, surprising way. To see Joel just die so early in the game, like within the hour or two. I thought that was very surprising. But I think the game does a good job of reducing that shock by giving you the flashbacks. I personally enjoy the flashbacks because once you see Joel die so early in the game, you're like, okay, we're not gonna see him anymore. This sucks. What the hell? What is up with that? But through the flashbacks, you get to see more of Joel, and obviously you get to see him in a more, I guess, sentimental way, if you will. Emotional. You get emotional because you're not gonna see that character going forward anymore, but you do get to see more of the human side of Joel, that father-daughter kind of like bond that he had with Ellie. So I really, really appreciated the flashbacks in the game. And in fact, I have to say probably my favorite part in the game was the chapter where you take Ellie to the science museum, where you see the dinosaurs, and that scene where you get to the spaceship or whatever, and she puts the helmet and he gives her the cassette. That part got me, man. I was like, it got me very emotional because it really just solidifies that bond between Joel and Ellie, and it just brings things a whole new meaning to their bond. And even though things were not, I guess, cool, between the two of them, during the present time, I think that really shows that they really care for each other. They really liked each other's company, and there was truly a bond, like a father or daughter type of a bond between them that I really enjoyed. So the flashbacks were pretty good. Again, shocking that Joel died so early in the game. I had a feeling that he was gonna die. That did not get spoiled to me, but when I kept hearing things like, how dare they do this? How dare they do this? All these scenarios ran through my mind, without knowing, without having played the game. And that was in my mind. I'm like, I bet what they're going to do is they're going to kill Joel. But I thought they were going to kill him like towards the end of the game, not like within the hour or two. So that was pretty surprising. I enjoyed the character of Abby a lot. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed her a lot. Especially, obviously, at first you hate her with all your heart, because she's the one that kills Joel, and the way she does it, it's very very brutal and very very visceral and gory. And I was shocked at how he died. Actually, how graphic it was. And that second you hate Abby, obviously. But when you played with her, that second half of the game, you learn her motivation. She has the same right to be upset and to seek revenge, because her father got murdered, and not only that, but her close friends also got murdered. Her love interest, I guess, if you will, with Owen. And even her mascot, the dog, got also killed. So Abby, she has every right to be upset. She lost her father. Not only that, but they lost the chance to like save humanity, can't come up with a cure. So I totally understood her point of view, just like I understood Ellie's point of view. She's just set on getting revenge, and so is Abby. So I didn't hate Abby. I know a lot of people hated her for reasons, but I liked her character a lot. I thought she was a very strong character. The one part that I did not like about Abby's journey or part in the game was Lev. That to me, that's the one character that to me didn't make a whole lot of sense. I know that Lev and her sister Yara, I think that was her name, Yara. They save you at one point. When Abby gets captured, she's about to get killed by the scars, and they save you pretty much. So in a way, you have to be thankful for their life. But I didn't see a good reason for Abby to bond so much in such a short time with those two characters. Like, to me, it just seemed a little bit off place, if you will. So I wasn't a particular fan of the Lev character in this game. And there were other couple of things that bothered me a little bit. Like, for example, when you are facing Tommy, the sniper, Joel's brother. In that sequence, Manny, which is supposed to be like one of your best friends. There's a good bond between Abby and Manny, especially early in the game where you are actually exploring the Seattle with him, and then he gets killed, and Abby just doesn't react at all. Like, that to me was weird. He gets like shot in the face or something, and killed by the sniper. And you don't see her reacting a whole lot. So I thought that was kind of like weird. So there are like minor things that were not very polished in the game, in my opinion. I also was very surprised at the extension of the game, and by that I mean I thought the game was gonna end when Abby and Ellie had that fight at the theater. And Abby ends up walking away and sparing Ellie's life. So I thought that was game over. Credits were gonna roll, but I was very surprised at the next chapters. In California, in Santa Barbara, whatever it is. I thought the game was gonna be over, but you have that last portion. And I think a lot of people get upset. Also because Ellie, she was already set. Had a very tranquil life, with Dina and the baby, and I can see why she did that. Like, I agree with her decision of setting out for revenge, because Joel was her like her dad. He basically brought her to life, if you will. He taught her everything she needed to know. So I was in favor of her seeking revenge, even though she already had a very good life and responsibilities of being a kind of like a parent to the baby, to Dina's baby. So I was in favor of her seeking out revenge. The one thing at the end of the game, I was disappointed at the end of the game, in the sense that, okay, you go through all this trouble, you leave your loved ones, the baby, you leave Dina, but you don't finish the mission. You know, as much as I loved Abby, because I really liked her character, and I didn't want to see her die. I thought, you know, Ellie should have killed her, because you know that was the whole point. She went through hell. You know, she went through all those Seattle journeys. You know, Seattle Day 1, 2, and 3. All the Odyssey that she did in Seattle, plus the California section of the game, to avenge, you know, Joel's death, and you know, she didn't finish the mission. She had you know, the chance. She had the perfect chance. So I was a little bit, I guess, disappointed in the ending, even though I didn't want Abby to die. So it's like mixed feelings that I have. Like, the ending was not of my full satisfaction, but at the same time, I don't know what, like, if I was the writer of the game, I don't know what I would have written to make the ending be good for me, if that makes any sense. You know, like, I think the ending was not good, but I don't have any ideas on how to make the ending satisfy me. So it's very hard to put the pieces together for me personally. But you know, despite being you know, I'm not gonna say overly disappointed in the ending. I was just a little bit disappointed because I thought, you know, Ellie had to finish her the job. You know, there's always part 3, I guess, where we can find more answers. Figured out what happened to Abby, Lev, and Ellie, I guess. But you know, she went through all this trouble. You know, the Seattle journey, the California journey. She lost like 2 fingers. So I was hoping that Ellie would finish the job, even though I really enjoyed Abby's character, and I totally understand her intentions as well. So, and another thing that kind of caught me off guard was when Ellie and Abby fought at the theater. I guess I thought Dina died, because you know, I could have sworn she got like hit in the jugular with like an arrow from Lev, if I'm not mistaken, or like some arrow like hit her in her body, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm like, how the hell did she survive that? Because you know. And then Ellie was just left like coughing up blood and stuff, and you know, Abby and Lev spare, you know, their lives, and they leave. And I'm like, how do they get medical attention? Did they have to like go all the way back to Jackson? That takes a few days. So I have no idea how they got medical attention there, or how they recovered from that. Obviously, Tommy, he was very beat up. You can tell that later in the game, where I think he lost an eye, and he was, you know, walking with some issues or problems. So yeah, that was something that kind of bothered me a little bit. I thought for sure Dina was done for. You know, I'm happy that she came back, obviously, you know, because she was pregnant and had the baby and whatnot. But yeah. But overall, if I had to make a closing statement, I think The Last of Us 2, Part 2, in my opinion, a fantastic game. Well worth of all the praise and awards that the game got, and the good reviews. In my opinion, a lot of people just overly exaggerated. You know, I guess the Ellie's orientation issue, I guess. So for me, it was a fantastic game. Highly recommended. If you guys have a PS4, you have to play. This is the type of game that you buy a PS4 for. You know, to play this game. So you know, it goes without saying, make sure you guys play the Last of Us Part 2 and the first one as well, which is also on PS4 as a remaster. With that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this impressions video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all later. Take it easy.